In the excellent company of my next guest. He is Trevor, of course, the brilliant political columnist at The Sun. And as I introduce him, I'm going to hold up today's copy of The Sun. Great headline, football kommt nach Haus, football's coming home. Obviously a reference to Thomas Tuchel taking over our team, and a classic piece of Sun brilliance. I used to work there myself way back in another century, and this paper is capable of journalistic genius. And Trevor, I believe there is cause for celebration as we speak.
Yes, we were at the press awards today, and to our huge delight, we got the National Newspaper of the Year award, which is richly deserved. And I have to say, these are rare occurrences because The Sun, for some reason, is not usually at the top of the list for awards, despite the fact that we break all the big stories and get the best exclusive. So, you know, this is a really nice feather in our cap and a great tribute to our editor, Victoria Newton, and it was great to be there.
Yes, and you talked of scoops. You got Scoop of the Year as well, didn't you?
Yes, we had Scoop of the Year with the Hugh Edwards story, which was more than just a scoop. I think this was a story which was published with great sensitivity by The Sun, carefully researched, totally vindicated by the events that followed, and it was pilloried and attacked and basically scorned by people who should know better, people from the BBC like Emily Maitlis and John Sopel, and from even our former editor, David Yelland, who actually tweeted that we should be more or less ashamed of ourselves. Well, you know, this is a great story that has moved a lot of things since then. It has particularly moved the argument on the way that child slave labour and exploitation is going on rife across the world, and these poor young kids are having their lives destroyed as a result of people paying money to see their pictures.
Absolutely, it was a great story and an important story that the great and the good, much to their horror, had to accept was good old-fashioned brilliant journalism, and The Sun still does it. And congratulations to you and all your colleagues, and to the excellent editor Victoria Newton. Let's get down to business, Trevor. Let's talk about Taylorgate first. Now, you know, it's easy to argue, does it really matter? Some American singer comes over here, gets a bit of special treatment, gets a special blue light protective police convoy to help her, to protect her, keep her secure on the way to Wembley and back. I mean, in fairness, there had been a bomb threat against her concerts in Austria, but the police, the Met Police, were asked, could you provide this for this star, by her mother, actually, who's her manager, Andrea Swift. And the police said, I'm sorry, we don't do that. No, you don't qualify. By the way, you're a billionaire. Pay for your own security. And the Prime Minister, the Home Secretary, the Labour Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, and now we know the Attorney General, Lord Hermer, all got involved and persuaded the police to change their mind. The police were very reluctant to do this, but they did so. Subsequent to that, Keir Starmer alone got £2,800 worth of free tickets to Wembley plus hospitality. We also know Yvette Cooper got a free ticket. We know that Sadiq Khan got a free ticket. I'm not sure if Lord Hermer is a Taylor Swift fan, but most of the Labour cabinet seem to be. Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, got a free ticket as well. Now, you know, you might argue, so of course the story there is obviously this is payback. Thanks very much for the free tickets. We'll get you that security, that police convoy you want. So you, in the great scheme of things, you know, maybe not that important. But what this is, what that adds up to, is what's commonly known as corruption.
It is, and it may be soft corruption, it may not be criminal corruption, but it is a form of certainly political and moral corruption. I mean, you have to ask the question, what is a man of nearly 60 doing going to a concert which is basically for sub-teens, for 13 and 14-year-old girls mainly who want to see Taylor Swift? Could any of those ministers, or in the case of Starmer's wife Victoria, could any of them actually hum any of their songs, of her songs, or name one, or know any of the lyrics? I don't think so. I think it's really a pitiable example of just wanting to be there like groupies around someone who is a multimillionaire and could easily have paid for her own security.
Yeah, it was one of those events where it was good to be seen at, you know, be there or be square. Bridget Phillipson, the alarming enemy of free speech, the Education Secretary, was asked, you know, you got free Taylor Swift tickets, didn't you, Bridget? She goes, yes, in all honesty, I couldn't say no. Well, actually, you could have done, Bridget, and you should have done. These people don't understand that what they've done stinks, and people can see that. Now, I suspect, you all know this, Trevor, you're a veteran of Westminster and the way it works. This scandal will peter out, and that's clearly Starmer's approach. Don't talk about it, don't address it, and it will generally drift away. But because of Freebiegate, because of Lord Ali and all the money going to all of these people, the aroma of bribery, if you like, will stick with this government, won't it?
Yes, just going back to Bridget Phillipson, she said she had no alternative really but to accept this kind of offer. Well, why didn't she give it to one of her deserving constituents who were, if my two granddaughters are anything to go by, queuing up to try and get on the phone to beat the rush for these tickets? It would have been a charitable act, and I think it would have saved her an awful lot of embarrassment. But, you know, it is a form of corruption, and it will not go away. The actual detail may disappear down the gurgler simply because it's being overtaken by many, many more as time passes. This is not the end, because once you begin to, in the world of news, once you've actually established yourself as a subject for a particular type of story, which in this case is greed and graft, and, as you say, corruption, then people are perpetually looking out for further examples of it. And there will be more examples. In fact, we see them coming out every other day. So, yes, this is a misuse of government power, of police resources, and the influence of a Prime Minister who should, after standing on his soapbox attacking the Tories over the last 4 years, should know better.
You can see on his dense little face a kind of expression almost of confusion, you know, as these accusations come in thick and fast. You've got your snouts in the trough. You can see his computation is, but we're Labour. We're the good guys. Well, you're not. They've been found out, haven't they?
You actually sum this up very well. I mean, what you've got is a Prime Minister, not just a Labour Prime Minister, but a person, in the case of Keir Starmer, who assumes that because he says something, it must be right, it must be morally defensible, and that because he is the person in the firing line, everybody else must be in the wrong. And he's completely bewildered and baffled, as many have already described him, at being questioned on anything that he decides is right.
Indeed. And what are they going to do, do you think, Trevor, about Lord Wahid Ali? As I say, I always have put my cards on the table at this stage. He's a very old friend of mine and a very nice man. But I don't particularly approve of what's been going on here. And I think one of his mistakes, apparently at one point, he was urged by some Labour sage, look, just donate to the party. Don't pick individuals. But that seems to have been his technique. You know, Sue Gray's son, Keir Starmer, of course, Vic Cooper, I think, and so on and so forth. He's picked out his favourites and sprayed his money in that way, and therein lies the problem. So going forward, what do you think Keir Starmer is going to try and do about this guy? Because as long as he's around, this Freebiegate scandal will continue.
Well, it will. And, you know, the answer is that Keir Starmer should never have accepted these gifts. I think it's demeaning, if not actually quite scandalous, that he would expect anyone to be paying for his designer glasses or his designer suits or for his wife's clothing or for someone to adjust his wife's clothing so that the dresses fit. I mean, This is pathetic, is it not? And anyone with any sense of integrity, which is what Starmer claims that he has in spades, would say, no way, I'm not going to take this. But as for Lord Ali, he needs to wake up too. He's been around the political landscape for a very long time now. He's been a member of the House of Lords, a Labour peer, and he knows the way this business works. He's not an innocent. He may be a nice chap in many ways, but he must know that every time he hands thousands of pounds to anybody, or the use of his penthouse apartments, they are going to be beholden to him. He might not ask for any favours, but he knows perfectly well that other people know that they are beholden to him and will whisper in his ear and try to get some sort of influence. And this is an impossible thing to avoid. So, you know, it's clean cut. Yeah. He either gives to the party or he stops giving.
Absolutely, that's the way forward. That's what should be the way forward for Starmer and Labour, but whether it will be is a moot point. And there are two demonstrable lies in Starmer's narrative. You know, one which I thought was a very telling moment. You remember the £30,000 worth of suits and fashionable glasses. As my fashion correspondent said, he still looks like a bundle of crap tied up in the middle, but that's another issue. And then, if you remember, I think it was only like a week or so ago, he suddenly remembered, yes, there was this other £16,000 that I put through as office expenses. Actually, that was suits. What we're talking about there, Trevor, is a lie. Then we know all about his prolonged stay at Lord Ali's plush Covent Garden London penthouse. He was there apparently because his 16-year-old son needed somewhere quiet to revise for his GCSEs.
GCSEs.
Yeah. And Starmer said, well, that's because all the press are outside my house in Kentish Town. Nightmare for the poor kid. And in some ways we thought, all right then. And then we learned that after GCSEs finished, the Starmers stayed in that penthouse for at least 4 more weeks. So again, that cannot be the reason that they were there for those 4 weeks. Another lie.
Well, this is absolutely true. What started off as potentially they might have got away with saying this is a white lie. Those white lies have got steadily more seedy and stained, and they're now pitch black lies. And this is a mark of this government, and this is why this simply will not go away, Kevin. They are furtive, they are deceitful, they are sly, and they deny the truth even though it's staring them and us in the face. After a while, people begin to really absorb this and resent it. They don't like being lied to. And what is very interesting, as you will have seen, is that the latest opinion polls are showing that not only have the ratings of the Labour Party and this government and Keir Starmer personally gone through the floor since it being elected 3 months ago, but they are now behind reform. And they should be scared stiff of reform in seats where the former Labour Party first went to the Tories and now has gone to Labour in despair, but will now drift away from Labour and back, I think, to reform. Reform is going to do extremely well in the local elections next year, and that is a harbinger for all sorts of developments on the British landscape, unless the Tories get their act together, which they are failing dismally to do so far.
Yeah, I read your piece in The Sun, yeah. What do you call them? The stupid party. They are very stupid, you're right. This Labour government shouldn't even be here. The fact that the Tories managed to somehow destroy an 80-seat majority in about 2 years is just beyond belief. It still is. Just before we go to break, Trevor, I want to get your response to what is a talk exclusive today due to freedom of information requests that we put into 37 police forces across England and Wales. And it has been they reveal that foreign crooks, migrants, immigrants and so on and so forth, were caught committing last year an astonishing 120,000 crimes. Most of them violent, many of them shoplifting and thievery, and many of them drug dealing. When you consider that only 5% of crimes result in someone being arrested and convicted, you realise that 120,000, that's only the people that got caught. I think we're probably talking about 700,000, at least 700,000 crimes committed by foreigners who clearly shouldn't even be here. That's your migrant crisis for you. Keir Starmer will lose the election because of this alone.
Well, he deserves to, I agree, but surely all these people are really desperate people who are coming across the channel and elsewhere because they're in need and deserve our help and sympathy and support. So, you know, I can't imagine that they would repay us in this sort of way, can you?
Well, they're engineers and doctors mainly, you understand that? I mean...
No, I mean, look, this is the biggest single issue facing the country today. And the Labour Party not only does not have an answer to it, it basically is sabotaging every possible answer that is available to others, and not least Rwanda, which is being picked up across the rest of Europe as their solution to this problem. And so we've got Germany and Austria and Poland all working out ways of putting up borders which breaks the free movement principle of the European Union, and deporting these people to places like Rwanda.
It's just unbelievable. It's really embarrassing for Keir Starmer, his beloved EU, now picking up on a policy, as in third-party countries in which to process your asylum seekers. Italy's doing it with Albania now. The EU itself is looking for a third-party place to do it. This is his beloved EU. He says such schemes are inhumane gimmicks. Well, Ursula von der Leyen, the leader of the EU, doesn't think so. She thinks they're a great idea. What the hell has this guy done, apart from waste about £400 million of taxpayers' money that we wasted on the Rwanda scheme, thanks to him? It's just pathetic, it really is. When we come back, let's talk about the House of Lords and just how long some of those hereditary peers might last. So stick around, folks. I'm still with Trevor.